beeping and wants me to update. Okay, going live, boys and girls. Hello, we're live. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you happen to be listening to this on iTunes, please go ahead and leave a 5-star review. I appreciate the reviews so much that folks have left already. Yes. I want to quickly shout out a couple of stand-up dates. I'm going to be at Point Pleasant Beach. The Comedians of the Compound will be at Uncle Vinny's July 17th, and then I will be headlining Jinx on the Boardwalk July 20th, both in the Point Pleasant Beach, sort of Jersey Shore, Jersey area there. And then I'll be heading to New Orleans August 13th and 14th. And then I'll be joining Comedians of the Compound back in Vegas September 10th and 11th. For Comedians of the Compound out in Vegas. Those shows are going to be ridiculous. And then I'll be heading back to Texas September 17th and 18th to headline Hyenas in Dallas. For tickets and details for all these shows, go to chrissiemayr.com. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. They have certainly helped me through the last year and a half stress-wise. They basically are, it's very high quality, smokable CBD. I'm going to bring up the website here. Cushy Dreams, they specialize in high quality smokable CBD that comes in basically these little tins or in CBD joints. You can basically get all the health benefits from CBD without getting high. These products have 0.3% THC in them. So you can relax, you can kind of calm down. That it really helps me. I like the Hustle blend. And I like the Dream blend, but it depends what you want to do with your day. They have different indica sativa blends. So if you want to be a little bit more up, during the day, you can do like Energy or Hustle. But if you want to like relax before bed, then yeah, you would do like Dream or Relax or Peace. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. They do a ton of lab tests. You can check on their website, cushydreams.com, Kushy dreams.com, to see all of their lab results. They're constantly doing tests for compliance and purity. I think the best part about this stuff, it's grown here in the USA. It's 100% legal CBD, ships to all over the US. And yeah, it's great stuff. Go to cushydreams.com right now and use promo code CMP. All my CMP listeners are going to get 20% off every order. What a deal, guys. All right. I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast. I feel like I have known him for years, known of him. He's been in my orbit of people I've enjoyed. But I'm so happy he has the time to talk to us today. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He's a gifted impressionist. Just a hilarious guy. Happy he's here with us today. Tyler Fischer.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Tyler. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm a little, triggered that you just assume I identify as a man today and without checking in.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry. And you know what? Before we went live, I did ask you how you wanted to be introduced, but I did not ask you your pronouns. So I'm trying to do better.
Yeah, you're trying. You're trying. That's all we can say is you're trying, and keep trying.
Tyler, super gifted stand-up. I see you at the stand.
Like I'm mentally retarded. He's so gifted. He has
very
a gift.
Special in his own way. You perform at the stand all the time. You've done a ton of impressions, but the ones that I've noticed and appreciated lately are your impressions of Dr. Fauci. I'm just gonna play one really quick in case anybody has been living under a rock and hasn't seen your Dr. Fauci impressions. Let me do a share screen here. This is really impressive. Okay. All right.
Wow,
Tell me, you guys. I mean, my audience is pretty chill. They're pretty in the know. If they haven't seen this, I'll be upset with them. Okay, here we go.
I'd say even if you live alone, I would wear a mask in the house, especially in the shower, because frankly, droplets can make the way through the drain and come up through somebody else's toilet, infecting them with COVID through the anus. Ballpark in 2 to 5 to 20 years, we can start thinking about considering the idea of pondering the thought of conceptualizing the possibility of maybe, perhaps reopening, but probably not. I would avoid having any fun whatsoever in the near to far future. I'd say even if you live alone, I would wear a mask.
I think it's just playing it again now.
I was like, wow,
Well,
this is such a flawless.
if you really want to impersonate him, I would just play that over and over.
Yeah,
For the entire fucking time.
The most accurate impression would just be on a constant loop. Tyler, have you always, correct me if I'm wrong, were you like me in that you came up in comedy like through the improv world, or did you start out in stand-up?
No, I'm not that annoying. I started in theater. Theater is just one notch less annoying than improv people, so I do feel superior to you. Yeah, no, I started in theater, doing plays and all that garbage, and then I did a little improv, and then stand up. Just it filled all of those trauma voids that I've been trying to repeat my whole life, and I thought, yeah, this is the one. This is the art to really, just relive your childhood every day.
Oh, that's the best. Stand-up filled all my holes too. And it's hard to explain to people who don't, like, oh, this feels so good. And I feel like people give a shit about what I have to say, and people laugh, which makes me feel like I'm a valid person.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been doing
redo it
stand-up?
every night? Every night you're seeking to to fix something. I mean, it took me 10 years to realize that, and now I'm like finding happiness, and so I don't put it as much pressure on stand-up, but it's certainly one of the most unhealthy art forms, I think, in the world.
You can get to a place where every night is this total blank slate of like, it doesn't matter if you murdered the night before. It doesn't matter if you murdered your last 5 shows. It's like, well, how are you doing tonight? If you bomb tonight, it's like you got to rethink everything. It's easy to be hard on yourself, I think, especially when you're a creative person.
Are you able to get over that though? Can you, I mean, now you're touring, your podcast is doing great. Are you able to go, okay, I'm on a path now, so it's not so important how I do night to night.
Yeah, it does feel like everything's a bit more spread out, and there's not so much pressure on just how I do on stage. I feel like people can get a sense of my sense of humor, or like, really it's more just like I'm just like putting my personality out there more, rather than like I'm just bound to these 10 to 45 minutes on stage.
Yeah.
And it's like my career is sort of like morphed over the last, I don't know, couple years specifically. But how long have you been doing stand-up for? Like 10, 11 like me, or?
Yeah, 11 years probably, yeah. And then acting for 18 years.
Oh, wow. So you were acting, and then you were like, I need something more.
It just kind of happened naturally. I was actually in college playing George W. Bush in a play called Stuff Happens. I know, I couldn't get a role in a play, and then I looked in the mirror and I didn't do impressions, and I was just like, it's a strategery, and I started like doing that, and I went into the audition, everyone started laughing, and I was like, oh shit, it's actually pretty good, and I got this role, and it was a serious play. It was a Broadway a play from London. Wow. That was brought to Broadway, and I did it in college. And then a friend of mine was like, I do a stand-up show in the cafeteria. You're going to come do it next Tuesday. And then that was it.
So George W. was your first impression?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Did the last year and a half or so like really inspire you creatively, or did you feel like kind of,
it was I was really depressed, but it was pure survival. It was like, I started an animation series. I was just losing my fucking mind. So it was pure survival, but luckily every couple weeks I'd come out with something, that did well online. And then I just try to be as consistent as possible and do something every day, and then occasionally something will hit. The Fauci thing wasn't anything different than I do. It just happened to. Nobody was really making fun of him in that way, so it just. I didn't realize that, and then
I
don't watch late night anymore. I don't watch late night TV
Yeah.
shows anymore. I can't stand it, and I didn't know they weren't making fun of him on SNL or any of that. So that's why mine was really the only one that poked that kind of fun at him. So
nobody. Not only is nobody making fun of these guys, but there's very little even critical conversation going on. Nobody can even critique.
Yeah.
No, you can't question anything.
Right.
And if you're not, I remember there was a several month period where like girls would be fawning over Dr. Fauci, like have crushes. It was like, oh, they were like, you know, like, oh, he's so handsome. He's daddy, like him and Chris Cuomo. And I was like, oh, this pandemic has gotten to an unhealthy place if people are starting to find these men attractive. Was that the first? I mean, how closely did you feel? I want to know, like, through your years of doing comedy, like, how did you feel like a bit of an outsider, or did you feel like, okay, I've had enough success with like the industry that it was, you know, motivating for you to keep going? Like, how have your overall thoughts been?
Never felt like an insider. Never. I mean, I didn't get into the comedy clubs for 10 years. It took me 10 years to even get into one comedy club. So I didn't get into any. I wasn't in a club until right before the pandemic. I got passed. So I only had like a couple months where I was actually working as a comedian. Wow. I was doing other things. I was doing TV commercials and this and that, little bit roles on TV. But no, I never found a groove in stand-up and acting. It was like I'd get a role and then a year would go by or 2 years would go by. We're in a huge transition phase too with comedy because of podcasts and the death of late night talk shows and Netflix. It's like, it's really weird, Wild West stuff. So, never felt, I just never couldn't quite get it. But people every night would be like, why aren't you on SNL? Why don't you have your own TV show? I go, I'm trying. And then I started to get fired from like, I kept losing agents because they would go, we can't help white guys. Sorry. And they would just tell me that. They would email me that and go like, tough for whiteys. And then they, you know, so I started kind of just talking about that. And I started a podcast because two friends of mine removed me from their podcast because they said, we're no longer going to have white men on. Like after the George Floyd stuff. And I go, I'm being directly punished for something a cop did in wherever the fuck it was.
So this was a result of Derek Chauvin.
Yes.
He puts a knee on a neck. And you get kicked off a podcast as a result.
Many like big ones that people reached out, and they invited me on, and one's a minority, one was a lesbian, and it was like, hey, we're ready to have a white guy on. We never do this, but we're such big fans, and these are people I supported and had open for me, and what was scary is how comfortable people are getting with just saying it and like putting this into text or whatever. So that forced me to start a podcast. That's the only reason I started it. And then
when did you start this podcast?
I've only done 26 episodes. So, and I didn't even know what it was. It was all survival. It was like, I'm not getting the stage time. I'm not getting on the podcast, all the things people say I should be doing. So rather than playing a victim, let me start the thing. And what's also interesting is then I started opening up about it, and people would go, why aren't you this and that? I'd go, well, here's the email. This is why. And they'd go, oh, take a seat. I go like, people don't even want to hear the truth. So it's been a really interesting couple of years, but having a podcast and having a Patreon has, I think, saved me from actually really quitting all of it.
So did you have like a rock bottom moment of like, what the fuck? Like, I am not only fed up with like what feels like the pillars of behavior to be in comedy, like especially like New York comedy. Was there a moment, like, was it just being thrown off these podcasts, or was it like, was that the event that made you be like, oh, fuck all of this, I'm doing my own thing? Was it a combination of that and politics?
It was a slow push, right? Like, I'm very liberal. I'm very, I think really creative people are typically liberal leaning types of people, personality wise, raised by gay men. I like just the most democratic liberal life you can have. So I've been like fighting for people my whole life. And
You were raised by gay men?
Yeah, my dad came out when I was 7.
Wow.
So I mean, I had a mom, but I also then would be half the time raised by my dad and whoever he was fucking at the time or dating.
How is that not getting you more woke points? That's shocking.
Because identity is so paramount that straight white man now is straight white man box. It's patriarchal, oppressive, abusive, corrupt. So even going, yeah, but that's not my story. It identity is taken front seat. So, that's what got me on this big lesbian podcast. But then inevitably, yeah, sorry.
What podcast was it?
I just don't say. I don't like to put that out there because.
Oh no, I just was like wondering if I've heard it before or listened to them. But it's like a lesbian themed podcast.
Gay, yeah, it's a gay podcast, and it's like I don't care who's gay. I liked this comedian because they were funny, and that was it. But things have gone so far that it doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, I it's like, no, that's not my story. Everyone's life is so complicated, and everyone goes through horrors in life and stuff. So it was a slow thing. It was like, even when I would get something big, someone would go, yeah, well, it's because you're white, So it's like, all right, so I would earn the things, and people would throw, push me down. I would not get the things, and they'd say, well, yeah, your time is up. So it was this slow, like 10-year, like backed into a corner thing when I finally was like, you know what? These people aren't my friends, like,
no, they're not.
Comedians are my colleagues, but like, why am I censoring myself? And so what's funny is they kind of pushed me out and then they could even say even more like, oh yeah, you are that guy. Cause now you're standing up for yourself and defending white men. So it's perfect for them. But when I decided like, I'm just going for it, and I don't care what happens. I don't have anything to lose. I didn't have a career. So like, it's kind of fun in a way,
There's I'm finding like so many similarities. Like I felt too, like for years, just like you get something, you don't get something. And how horrible, like you'd think over a 10-year period that you would develop friends in the comedy industry and they would know you well enough to be like, Tyler's so impressive, like so talented. Yes, he got these things based off of merit because he works hard. Like there's not even this sense of like, yeah, you have some friends that can be happy for you and recognize your talent. They're like, well, you only got it because you're white. And then
some do, but humans are we gravitate towards the negative. So, if it's 10 people in support and 5 people who go like, oh, of course you got it because you're white, that always kind of takes
that's what you focus on
precedent a little bit. But overall, it's just been okay, I'm not getting any of the things you should get as a comedian, the late night show, SNL, Netflix, or that. And they're becoming more comfortable saying like, yeah, we're actually not even going to consider you because you're a white man. So it's like, well, I'm not just going to sit down and die. So
that's what they want. They want you to die.
They want you to be a sacrificial lamb. That's what we're living through now is like, it's for the greater good, But I go, yeah,
and it doesn't matter about your actual Tyler Fischer life. Like it doesn't matter if
no one cares.
And I feel the same way. Like I did not come from money. Like I watched my parents fight all growing up. Like we struggled. Like, yeah, I didn't go to bed hungry, but like I don't see any examples of like white privilege in my life. And then when you have people tell you who you are and like, yeah, I think I'm lucky for lots of reasons, but I'm not like one of these comics who has rich parents and doesn't have to work while they're doing comedy. Like, I'm sure you had to, juggle day jobs and.
Oh yeah, I babysat until a few years ago. So I was like, I didn't tell anyone. I was like watching kids all day, like babies. Like I'd literally, someone would see me on the street with 2 babies in a stroller. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh yeah, this is my friend's kid. I would like lie about it. I was so embarrassed.
Like, I'm a
that I
dad
couldn't
now.
handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I don't play the white privilege game. I don't do any of that shit. It's like 1 out of 5 people in this country are mentally ill. And so that means if you're not,
And 2 of them are on this podcast. Okay.
2 are on this podcast. Exactly. If you're not, your partner is, or one of your family members, or like people's lives are so hard. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's how it's always been. So, you know, I don't know. It's kind of mind blowing where we've headed. But I'm like, just start your own stuff. So that's always been my answer. If I can't get something, I get a film crew. I go out and film a video. Anything I've gotten has come from producing it myself. So I'm just all in on that now.
And how has been? Do you think these Fauci impressions have given you like a ton of attention, like more so than anything in a while? Because like in comedy, you kind of have like a bump, and then it's like
it's a wave.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a month of. It was actually got out of control. Asking to perform around the country and fly out to events and stuff. And I don't have a manager. I actually couldn't handle it. And so yeah, on the news every day. I went on Fox. They came to my house and with a studio and it was fun. It was fun. You have to ride those waves because they don't last long. So yeah, my following doubled. My social media following doubled from it, and got some new fans, and now it's just back to work, and it'll happen again, and then
just waiting for the next wave.
Yeah. The goal is I want to tour and sell tickets and do clubs and I get out of New York from these 10-minute sets that are really hard to grow when you're just doing 10 minutes every night.
It's very hard to grow, especially if like that's why I'm befuddled at people who only perform like in Brooklyn and they never try the rest of the country. It's like you have no clue.
When did you start like headlining and doing longer sets?
Gosh, I think it's been like maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4. I know that I had like my first big headlining tour was last year, right as the pandemic started. I had like a bunch of cities lined up. I did the first one in LA and then the rest were canceled. So on one hand, it was like, whoo, weight off. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to potentially not do well. But
did you set that up? Sad. Was that all from just your own podcast?
Yeah,
and
I'm just like stuff? You, no manager. Just like through the years, like I would open for Mark Normand at this club, and kind of you just remember like, okay, what are these clubs? And then just like you have to, and then just I put it all together, myself. Like my boyfriend helped me a little bit, but yeah, like I don't have anybody setting me up with stuff. And what you're doing is really great and really smart. It's like building your following and get to a point where you can go to a club. Hey, here's my following. Here's all my numbers. Then the club can go, all right, this person can fill a room. And then they meet you. They fall in love with you. They love your personality. They see you're clearly talented. But like, unfortunately, like if it were just about talent, you would have, or you know what I mean? Like we'd both be totally good by now. But
it's not right now. That's not a front seat. So, but maybe it's for the best, I think, because then you really gotta dig deep and there's a freedom to really being able to say what you want. I think once I started the Patreon and it's growing and the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, now I feel like I could actually say what I want because I'm also not worried. I'm not anticipating getting on a network show and then being canceled for a tweet because I'm not even going down that route anymore. So
what do you mean, like with Shane Gillis? Like, yeah, fired before he could even start.
That screwed me up. I went on Anthony Cumia's show that day when he was fired.
Oh wow!
On live on Anthony's show, and I was just, and then by the end of Anthony's show, I go, I've said enough on this podcast today where would get clipped out, and if I got an SNL, I'd be fired. So like. That was going through my head the whole time. Every time I said something, I go, oh, that would get me fired. That would get me fired. That would get me fired. And I was like, holy shit. It rattled me for weeks, if not months after that.
Yeah, I remember I was at the stand that night, like when it happened. I saw Shane, a lot of people there, they're congratulating him. Like he's kind of walking around busy. I remember because I was supposed to do his show citywide. It was him, I think, and Karen Margolis, or Abby Rosenquist hosting. And Shane was kind of like running around being busy. And I think Abby was just hosting, and I was like waiting for my turn to go. But then I'm like, hey, congrats. And then it's all kind of unfolding that night. Like,
oh my God,
what was it? Seth Simon who ultimately threw him under the bridge and got him fired.
He's coming after me now.
Of course he is. Of course
I didn't even know who he was. People started sending me screenshots of him, like tweeting me. I go, who is this guy? They're like, he's the Shane Gillis guy. And then I told some comics and they go, whoa, congrats.
Yeah. It's a sign that things are looking up. Like if you're on his radar, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, I was like, that's what got me notoriety because these were some big comedians who I was standing with, and they go, wow, that's great, congrats. I go, this is crazy. It used to be congrats, you're on the Tonight Show. Now it's like, congrats, some schlub is trying to cancel you. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it feels good. It must feel good to finally be like, wow, like just in that podcast you did, like Kumia's show, like, wow, I've said like 5 things that could like get me canceled. But you can't live a whole life like that. Like you cannot live a whole creative career being stifled, worrying, oh, is this going to piss off the Comedy Central girl? Oh, is this going to piss off Jeff Singer? Is this going to piss off whoever's booking Fallon? Like you can't live like that. You can't create like that.
No, it's paralyzing the comedians, and I think comics are pretty self-conscious. That's why, like, we can control our speech and craft it. So it's deadly for anyone, but especially us, because our job is to go say crazy stuff and that may or may not be okay with society. And then the crowd, which represents society, tells us, but you have to be able to throw that out and see how it lands. And yeah, I mean, it's going to kill a lot of talented people for sure.
Yeah, because I have had, like, just over the last year, I guess as I have increasingly put myself in like the crazy no box of comedians or whatever they're calling
came out you kind of came out a little more politically, right? Was that what kind of?
I was never political until I started to see, I guess since 2018, I feel like I really I started to see like the assault on free speech and like the sort of canceling from within the comedy community. Like when I had comics start to come after me just for doing impressions, I was like, oh, this is very fucked up. Like I've told this story like so many times, but it was this chick, Kate Willett. She had like a 15-minute Comedy Central special. She went on Compound Media. She went on Morning, and she was on with Gino, and they were debating about like cultural appropriation and Halloween costumes or something. And she got offended and walked off. And the Compound Media fans, like they love comedy. They love people who don't take themselves seriously. So they were very upset that she walked off. I was just talking about this on a podcast last night. And they were like, oh, she's real uptight. She could use a railroad spike in the keister. This girl's got to loosen up. What's the deal? She's a comedian. And then she took that as a rape threat. She was like, oh my God, somebody said and it blew it out of proportion. She rallied like Facebook groups, like large swaths of people against me, against like Aaron, Gino, and they just we kept making fun of her for a while. And then I dressed up as a railroad spike in tinfoil, except I was like an anti-rape railroad spike. I was like, I don't want to be up anybody's keister. I got a family. Okay. And then it was just like a big, messy ordeal, but it taught me the lesson of like, oh yeah, this is not a friendly industry. People will purposely misunderstand you to elevate themselves, to make themselves look like victims.
Oh yeah. No, it's a good lesson to learn, because it doesn't matter. I think Brian Regan's one of my favorite comedians, and he gets ripped for being like too safe and too clean, and even like the Times come after him, and it
Wow.
And I go, it doesn't matter what you do. Someone will be offended by how offensive you are, or even be offended by how safe you are. So there's no, you've got to have skin of iron. And I mean, since the Fauci thing, I've been called QAnon. Like,
Oh yeah, that's a big one. They love that one.
Oh my God. I mean, like, dude, I was paranoid for weeks because comedy club owners were going, this guy just came up to me and go, are you in QAnon? Are you like God. Super right? Are you
People
right wing?
Don't even know what QAnon is, who throw it around. It's like,
and if someone says right wing in New York City, what they're saying is you're a racist conspiracy theorist.
Of course.
It's not
you're
it's
an
not like, oh, I hear you're experimenting with other political views. So I was blown away just from making fun of Fauci. And then the second thing is I didn't get the vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've been getting vaccines my whole life. I had COVID. I'm young, I'm healthy, and I know the death rate for my age. I did like a ton of research.
Kind of common sense.
People, I'm getting shamed every night at comedy clubs. Like people openly will shame me, will come up to me, will a guy came up to me the other day and pretty much told me like, stop complaining about this white, like losing work for being white. He's like, I watched your podcast, you lose the chip on your shoulder. I'm like,
is this a comedian or a regular person?
Yeah, a comedian. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
that must
night,
fill you with rage.
It does. I'm like, people think, I look very nice and stuff, but I'm a goddamn lion inside. It's like no one really knows what I'm. I could be very sweet, but also like, I've gotten in fights my whole life, including on the subway. Like, like, so, it's been interesting, but our job now is to figure out how to respond to it. And that might mean not responding, just going, okay, yeah, good to see you. I mean, it's so interesting. Yeah. Someone will try to take you down no matter what, if you're doing well, if you're not doing well, that's just the nature of it.
Yeah. Just how comfortable people are inserting themselves into your private life, your private medical decisions has like really blown me away the last year or so. And it's like, it is so none of your business. And if you make decisions that make you comfortable, and if you are getting all bent out of shape about what other people are doing or not doing, you are giving away so much of your own power. And maybe you're 1 out of 5 mentally ill people. You maybe got to look at that and be like, why am I so freaking out over what other people do or don't do?
Yeah. It might be this. It's the tribal social pressure that I'm not sure humans will ever be able to evolve out of. I mean, like, if we don't start collectively pushing against that, it's not going anywhere. And it's so powerful that I think those people that shame me or anyone for not getting the vaccine, they're really just embarrassed that you're not, they're worried maybe they're not doing the right thing, so they just want you on their side at all costs. So I'm so obsessed with psychology, and I'm like a shameless Jordan Peterson
me too.
super fan.
You're reading all the wrong books. You're on the alt right now. You're just thinking for yourself. And it's very dangerous.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and Jordan Peterson's like, one of the 3 reasons I probably didn't kill myself, and that I'm thriving now. And it's so the good thing is I was somewhat prepared for this because I've been listening to him for years, kind of saying it's coming, and you think. We're not going to repeat the horrors that took place in history. And then I started studying those events, and I can kind of see the overlaps, with the pandemic. And then I don't ever say it's like the Holocaust, but I am comfortable comparing the beginnings of these events with what's happened over the last few years.
People, you could easily compare like the brown shirts or the part of the, I guess, the Nazi group that just feet on the ground to Antifa, to just like, Karens and Facebook groups, just anybody pressuring you. It's like, oh, get society to a point where we are policing ourselves. Then you don't need the government to do it for you.
Yeah, and Facebook just initiated kind of a please tell on anyone who's extreme thing. And
Oh, yes, I've been seeing that. I'm
that,
surprised I haven't gotten it yet. I'm a little offended.
well, I mean, it's coming. It will come, and it really is alarming because with surveillance now, if anyone who's associated with being in DC on the 6th, or it'll trickle
God,
down
yeah.
to you're just a Trump supporter or something like that. So now we can rifle through your stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
again,
have an American flag sticker on your car, so you're an extremist.
and no one can define what extremism even is. So yeah, it's frightening.
It is frightening, and it's good that you're in this place. It feels better to like tell the truth or tell your truth. You'll hear people say, "Oh, speak your truth, truth to power," blah blah blah. Love everyone. It's like, no, like you're just talking about your group. You're not truly for diversity of thought. You don't want everyone to speak their truth. You just want your people to speak their truth.
That's so important to hammer that down when someone says, yeah, speak the truth, or we need to like listen to each other. They're not talking about you.
No.
If you're in XYZ group, if you're in the special groups, listen to us, listen to our truth. But if you're outside of that group, we want you to sit down, shut up, but still keep coming and supporting us. It's like, I don't think people are going to put up with that much longer.
No, it's a lot of people are really frustrated, and especially like our job as comedians is to kind of like, speak our truth, but like speak the truth that other people can't right now. And when I realized how many people can't even retweet something or follow somebody because they're truly afraid of losing their jobs, they have whole families to support. It's like, okay, I went from thinking, all these like conservatives are pussies, Republicans are pussies, anybody who's not like, there's like insane people on the left and everybody else is a pussy. I sort of like softened that viewpoint to being like, okay, no, I really do understand people are afraid of losing their jobs and not everybody can speak their truth or whatever. I hate saying speak my truth because they've ruined the phrase for me.
Yeah, or at least try to find your truth. I mean, to get to the truth is a long, messy journey. So all of those steps to take them are really scary. So, it's as Jordan says, to think you have to be willing to offend somebody. So I always think about that whenever I'm about to censor myself. I go, no, you're just to think this thought, you're going to offend somebody. You've got to take that risk. So,
I saw a couple super chats here. Sorry, my computer is not charging.
Worries.
I have to see why my computer's not charging because right now it's on 5%, but I don't want it to die. So
you want to take a little break?
I can't do that because we're live, but I do want to read. There goes my light. Great. Everything's fine. Quick super chat from Matthew Hammond. Tyler's beard is amazing. Yes, it is amazing.
Thank you very much. I'll give you a close up.
Okay. Other okay.
Oh, there's another.
Here's another super chat from Frank. How would Bill Burr react to Fauci telling him to wear a mask at home?
Well, you know what? First of all, I would tell you to go fuck yourself. But I mean, I wear a mask at home basically because my wife is so batshit crazy, right? So that I can whisper underneath the mask and go, "You're fucking nuts." Right. And so she can't hear me because I'm constantly just telling her to, I'm just giving her it straight. Right. She can't take it. She's sitting there watching Oprah. I'm going, all right, here we go. Right. I'm going to get some bullshit about the patriarchy. But if my mouth is covered up, she doesn't know what the hell I'm saying. So I'd say, if you've got an annoying wife, throw a mask on. You can say whatever you want.
That's perfect. Yeah. I loved your Bill Burr masterclass.
Thanks.
So funny. I was like, wow, he really looks like him. And isn't it amazing what you can do? It's like you don't have an SNL budget. You don't have a crew of people with makeup and costumes.
I try to make myself look bald like that.
Yeah, you're able to put out something better than SNL does.
But Frank, you want to do I would even double or triple mask up. You know what I mean? Right? You know what I'm talking about. And if you're going down on your girl, throw a mask on, right? Throw a mask on. At least over your nose. I'll put it over the nose, keep the mouth open, right? She doesn't know. I keep one at the edge of the bed so I could just toss it on. She doesn't even know.
Tell her to shut up. Has Bill ever reached out to you? I mean, that's like the best Burr impression I think out there right now.
So it's been a complicated relationship. He can't handle listening to it. And I mean, he cannot handle it. And I've been with people who have texted him and being like, you got it.
For real?
He's known. Oh yeah. He's known about it for years. He's so self-conscious, and I think he's a total pussy. I'm prepared to start a war with Bill because,
yes.
You know, he's a pussy. He really is. He's a fucking pussy. You know, I mean, you got Seinfeld used to go on the, SNL, and Jimmy Fallon would do Seinfeld against his, and all these celebrities have such a good sense of humor about it. But Bill, he could have shouted me out 4 years ago. But he recently responded to it because Bill Burr showed the video on the podcast. So
really?
Bill was forced to watch it. Yeah, he didn't want to, but because they weren't in the same studio, Bill just held the phone up.
Who showed it to him?
Bill's wife, I think, sent it to Bert Kreischer.
Okay. Oh wow.
And Bill did not want, but he was a good sport, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's really good, right? He looks a lot like me, right? It's good." And he's like, "All right, let's move on."
Wow. Which means
he
probably saw it already.
Oh yeah. But he I think he hates me, to be honest.
What? See, this is like, he should be able to handle it. It's like, look, Bill, you've made it. You're successful. Like you probably have enough money to live for the rest of your life. Like, let some kid
can't give me a retweet. I mean, one tweet could change my whole life. But yeah, and then I was like, oh, I felt bad for him. I was like, yeah, I guess maybe he doesn't want to hear his voice. Then I started listening to his podcast. He does impressions of all these people and roasts them, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
That's fucked up, man. See, I don't know. I think you should always, when you've reached the top, I don't know, maybe because I've spent so much time struggling and failing, but I think once you reach the top, go ahead and help people under you. Like, look down once in a while.
Yeah. It's like I have so many people, famous people, like sending it to him and going, you got to watch it. So it's not like I'm some schlub. I'm like a respected comic who's nailed the impression. So yeah, I'm prepared to start a beef with Bill Burr.
Let's start that beef. I one time had a person do an impression of me, like they had a wig on, but then I think they ultimately committed suicide. So that's I don't know what happened there. Yeah, it's kind of a dark story.
Maybe they really committed to the bit. They're like, her career's dying, so they just kill themselves.
Yeah,
and they're like,
like
a real Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman style commitment.
Another super chat. Thank you, Matthew Hammond. When did clapter become acceptable to comedians? A clear example of this was when Jon Stewart went on the Stephen Colbert show and mentioned the lab leak.
What's clapter?
I mean, clapter is it's clapping instead of laughter. It's like it's clapping instead of eliciting like a visceral laughing response. It's just like approval.
Oh, okay. I think it's been around a lot. I even just heard some comics talking about the 80s was a huge like applause break era. And that was a popular thing in the 80s. And now they said maybe it's coming back a little bit. But maybe if something isn't that funny, but you want to agree with it. Yeah. Because you can't force a laugh, but you can just clap, right? I don't know.
Sometimes it's fine. I think if all you're getting are claps, then perhaps you're preaching more than you're doing jokes, but everyone's different. Yeah. But Matthew, he's probably a Compound Media fan because Gino talks about clapter all the time. Like, these comics are going for clapter and not actual laughs. They just want approval. He's a bad man. He's
well, I don't think they're actually going for it. I think they're just they're choosing virtue signaling over crafting jokes. So, I mean, I've never seen the Nanette thing, but would you say that's kind of in the vein of like...
Absolutely.
That wasn't a comedy special, but it was or whatever?
to me it feels like the comedy industry is like the teacher or the parent or whatever. They're the authority, right? And so I look at like the woke virtue signaling comedy as like, oh, you're just trying to suck up to the teacher. Like that's not you. I mean, if it is, that sucks, but like you're just trying to impress the person in charge. Like you're not trying to impress like the other kids in the class, you know? It's like class clown versus the class like suck up. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And if they want to do it, that's, have fun, but you got to be dying inside a little bit eventually.
Yeah, I think so too. And I really want to show, I wanted to show this before. This was your another thing that SNL is not making fun of is mainstream media. And this was like a really funny tweet you did, like a video of like, this is what happens to people who watch CNN. And I saw this the other day and I cracked up. And again, if you're not following Tyler Fischer on Twitter, I'm sorry. I just don't know what you're waiting for or what your problem
I never
is.
used Twitter until the Fauci thing because I had no following until the Fauci video. So I wasn't really using it.
And now you're here. Wait a second. Here we go.
This pandemic is not over. Put your mask on. You have these people with masks on and these dogs with masks on. You're killing us. Are you not watching CNN? You can't run from the Delta variant. Look at this man and his dog. These are racist people. Racist. Whose dog is this? Put a mask on. They're trying to kill my grandmother. I bet nobody has a mask on the plane. They're trying to kill everybody. It's like 9/11 all over again. Look at this super duper duper deluxe super spreader effect. Put them all in jail. Put that baby in jail. This pandemic over.
A lot of people were staring at me while I was filming it.
I mean, to me, you seem like a typical New Yorker.
That's what I was like, though, when COVID started. Like, I was still very much stuck. Like, I'm a Democrat, stay in my lane. I was watching CNN all day. I was watching MSNBC, and I had COVID. So I was in like a full-blown mental breakdown for about 2 months. Because when I had COVID and it was so early, I couldn't get a test. I couldn't get any. There was like nothing to.
When did you get it?
I had it like March 12th, the first wave.
Oh, wow. You were like patient 12.
Yeah. And it was bad. Yeah. It was really bad. I'm not the healthiest guy. I'm skinny, but I'm not that healthy. So, so watching CNN on top of having it and then being like, there was a 30-year-old who just dropped dead. They'd find like 3 young people. And I sat with 911 dialed on my phone next to my bed. I wrote a living will. I wrote out care directions for my dog. And that, that's probably good because that probably did push me out of going like, I can't listen or watch this stuff anymore. And then like when it wasn't COVID, it was like white shaming or this or that. I mean, I would have NPR on the background all day.
Oh no, and, you poor thing.
Yeah.
You were everything you were consuming was making you nuts.
Yeah. And I go, wait, they're not like rooting for us. They want us to suffer. So we keep coming back. And, So
did you go to the hospital at all? Or you just like toughed it all out at home?
I went to, I couldn't get a test. I couldn't even get a test. Like I would go to different doctors and there was nothing. And they'd go like, yeah, you would be in the hospital, but we can't send you there because you're not going to get a space.
Oh, so, man. So you had it at the absolute worst time.
Yeah. But the psychosomatic part was worse. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was convinced. Yeah, convinced.
You're like, I'm going to die. Your poor dog. Is that a golden doodle?
He's a Labradoodle.
Oh, my God. He looks like Muffin.
Yeah, he's so cute. He's so
What's his
fucking
name?
Cute. Freddie.
When did you get him? Is he a pandemic dog?
No, I got him 3 years ago. Aww. 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
And Freddie was like, "It's gonna be okay, too, Tyler."
Yeah. No, having an animal there who doesn't like know you're a comedian or care about politics or care about any of that stuff. Like, I'm with him all day, so that is like it's been life changing.
Yeah, he's really like an emotional support animal. I've been hearing that from more and more people, is like, especially if they don't live with a bunch of roommates or family, like if you're like living by yourself and you have an animal, that can make such a difference.
Oh, it's huge. Huge. Yeah, I used to sleep until like 2 p.m.
Yeah, I
like,
used to do that too.
How old's your dog?
Oh, Muffin, I think is 3. Yeah, like 3.5. It's actually like my boyfriend's mom's dog, but like, I don't know. I feel close. I feel like, I don't know.
So
I was
basically
there.
yours.
Yeah, basically. I was there when they brought it home. I'm very close with her.
So if you were there the day she got a new car, you'd be like, well, it's my car. I was there when she pulled up.
It is mine. Yeah, I did. I was the first person to open the trunk. So, wow.
So Muffin's not with you right now.
Muffin is with me. I'm actually, I'm like with my boyfriend's family.
Yeah, where are you located?
We're right now. This is like we're at their condo, which is like upstate, but we're all together, and I'm doing a podcast in a porch that has been semi-winterized, but it's like about 100 degrees in here because the cooling, the heating and cooling doesn't really reach this room. But it's like, you know what? You got to keep working.
Do you feel like you're done with New York City? Like, are you? I mean, I can't really tolerate it anymore. Like, even for walking my dog, I just can't. The noise, the crime.
Yeah, I mean, I moved out of New York City 5 years ago. Moved to White Plains with my boyfriend because he's from like and I'm from Long Island, and like he was from Westchester. So it was either he was gonna like move in with me in Queens where I was living, which was horrible. I was living with a 65-year-old woman that I met off Craigslist. So that was you can't bring another person into that situation. And I lived with her for 4 years. Like I had Stockholm syndrome for sure. Shout out to Susan. She was horrible. So at first when I moved to Westchester with him, I was like, oh, this is horrible. This is going to be the death of my career. I'm going to be so far away from everything that's happening. I'm going to lose spots. I'm going to lose relevancy. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, no, I would have been like really miserable to stay living in the city just because I need grass. I need like room. And now like I've done a few spots in the city, like just in the last like couple months, and the crowds feel different to me. Like I was at the Grizzly Pear and I'm like, this doesn't feel like a representative crowd. This feels like a lot of young people who couldn't move out of the city, who were like too broke to figure something else out. Like a lot of students. I'm like, this doesn't feel like when you do like the road and you're like, okay, this is a good mix of like real people who've lived life. And I'm like, I didn't feel like I could connect. And that's not just me being like blaming the crowd, because I feel like
everyone's saying that. People, I don't tour really, but everyone that does says New York is now the worst place to do comedy. Hopefully it'll change as tourism comes back, because you'll get people from the Midwest, from Europe, and I hope I just did my first show where there was like people from Mexico, a guy from Dubai, and it did feel more fun. I hope that comes back.
Yeah. Are you looking to move out?
I don't think I can. I can't handle it anymore. I mean, I just can't. I can't do it. The subway. God, I got stuck underground for an hour and missed my show at the stand, and they're yelling at me, and I just like I can't do the mental breakdowns anymore. And it's even really just Freddie, a little. We go. I have some beautiful little back streets in Brooklyn here, and he just got attacked by a dog the other day. A guy came 30 miles an hour down the sidewalk on a scooter and smashed into a tree and broke his face. And then we loop back around, and there's just a river of blood, and it's like you can't. There's just no street anymore that is exempt from this like chaos. And my subway stop is literally a homeless fentanyl shelter, and I threw up walking into the park the other day just from what I saw on the street.
Wow.
Yeah,
it made you sick to your stomach just seeing. And I noticed my subway stop that I I get out to go to Compound Media, I say this all the time, there's people like they're just bold and they're mixing up heroin, they're doing it. It's like it's a little after school science class happening right on the stairs to get out at 34th
They're
Street.
making
I'm
the
like,
volcano things
yes.
with the
I'm like,
baking soda.
Were your boys' favorite subjects chemistry in school? Because you are with a fervor now, just mixing it up.
Everyone's like, they're just following the science. They're just scientists.
They're speaking their truth.
Science.
Yeah,
And even weed being legal now. I mean, I'm not anti-weed, but like, people are just bongs on the street, and like, I don't want to smell it all day, but it is just everywhere.
And you pair that with the cops being like kind of too afraid to do their own jobs. They don't want to get fired. They're just not doing shit. And so
and I like the cops, which is crazy, right?
Oh, but, God, you're such an extremist. Wow.
Yeah. So I talk to cops all the time just to like show them my support. I'll just go up and chat with them just to be like, hey, I'm not afraid of you. And, tell me about your job and what, who do you want to
appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
Who do you want for mayor? And like, the cops are just like dead inside,
Yeah. They're just like running the clock out.
Yeah.
But we can talk when we stop recording. We'll talk more, and we'll
finally open up.
We will.
I'll tell you how I feel.
Have you you mentioned a little bit of the backlash, I guess, you've been getting since sort of, I don't know, would you call it coming out in a way? Or maybe it's just who you've always been.
Someone the other day came up to me and she goes,
circumstances.
I'm so, I'm like, someone came up to me and goes, well, you're really getting opinionated. I'm like, what are you talking about? I do 20 minutes on the dogs or tinfoil. Like everything in stand up is ridiculous, endless opinion. So sorry, what was your question?
No, exactly. You're already answering it. I'm like, I'm wondering the kind of backlash you've gotten. Like, to me, to the untrained eye, to you, it looks like, oh, you've been radicalized. You're all right now, which really all it takes is being like, yeah, I'm fed up with the Democratic Party, and now you're put in this box. Because I know the same exact thing happened to me. I would call myself still kind of like maybe classically liberal. Like, yeah, I'm fine with gays getting married. Like, big fucking deal.
Yeah, and you're very very creative. The creatives are very open-minded. You have to be a comedian and artist. You have to be ultra open-minded. So you're going to generally be on the liberal side.
Have you been seeing a ton of like backlash? Like I remember when I was just at the Capitol for the 6th, people like, we gotta band together and never get her booked on any show ever again, without even knowing why I was there. So I'm just wondering, like, if you've gotten a lot of kind of backlash from comics for coming out, or other than just comments of like, you're opinionated.
I mean, even like, I think the most poisonous thing is just the fear of fear. So like, just knowing the gossip is lingering when you walk into a place, when it's like, I'm just going to do my job. And then someone will come up and go, hey, this guy just asked if you're, going to the Pizzagate rally or whatever. I go, what are you talking about?
Oh, God. Like, I can't believe I missed it. When was it?
Yeah. Well, oh, my God, that was Tuesday. So what really keeps me grounded is going like, again, these aren't my friends. Like, they weren't there for me when good stuff happened. They're certainly not going to be there when I need some help. And it's like, I'm not even asking for anything. I'm just asking to not be berated for like choosing to not get the vaccine. And also, I'm not even asking for support in all of this stuff. Like, I just had another major acting agent court me and then tell me over the phone, we're not taking you because you're white. And I recorded the conversation. Because I honestly, I thought they were calling to offer me a job. A celebrity that recommended me, gave me the good word. Like, I go, wow. Oh, I'm in. They love me. They've been scouting me for years. And finally, this junior manager had enough pull to like pitch me. And he calls me and I'm sitting there going, all right, here we go. He goes, we're going to get you on Curb Your Enthusiasm. You want to audition? Like, every year this happens. And he goes, oh, yeah. So here's the deal. They are only taking women and diverse people because now the word diverse means black or brown rather than what it actually means. And so I just go record and I have the whole conversation and I go, I just want to get this straight. I just want to be clear. You're telling me they want to hire me. Yeah. They love me. Yeah. But they will only not work with me because I'm white. And he goes, yeah. And I go, all right, I got that. So I'm just collecting this
Good for
stuff,
you.
and I'm not looking for support. I'm not looking for hugs, but like the bare minimum is I want someone to just listen to that and not say shut up. So it's like there's such a minimum amount that I even need from people right now, and I'm not even getting that. So it's like then I don't give a fuck anymore, you know?
It's basic respect is what it is, you know?
Yeah, it's like you want me to listen to you. I've been, you know, like I'll use the LGBTQIA plus community as an example. You know, I grew up starting at age 7, going to, you know, raising money for AIDS, going to the AIDS walk, like, going to drag shows, like immersed in this stuff as a 7-year-old who we didn't even conceptualize gay at that point in society. And all I would hear is like straight shaming my whole life from these people that I go, I'm giving my life to you. I'm taking beatings from kids. I'm getting bullied. And like, I'm getting no support. I'm just told that I'm this weird, straight, like toxic male. So I'm out.
Wow.
So
man,
like,
that's so horrible. It's
a relief in a way. Cause now, it's like no one's going to put up with that after a while. But the upside is like now I've decided like I'm not marching. I'm not protesting. I don't support any of that shit. I don't believe in pride months or any month because I judge people based on how they treat me and who they are. So it is a relief in a way, as long as you can really, you have to manage that online bullying or any of that stuff. That, you know, I've got a therapist and I'm in 12 steps and like, so I have my ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the support I have externally, then it'll be fine because way more people are, again, as you've seen, your following probably started to grow as you started to be more right?
As soon as exactly that. And as soon as it's like putting coal into a train and the train is this like industry obligations that fucking kissing up to the right people, saying the right things. It's like, once you stop putting like coal into that train, you're like, oh, I don't have to fucking at all look at that train. Like that train, it hasn't even left the station for me. So why am I continually putting more and more in it? And it's like, oh, cool. I can just, well, what do I want to do today? What's funny to me today? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
And I noticed too, like exactly what you're going through, like as it was made aware to me, like, oh, I don't really have any like comedy connections. There's no industry people who like me, who are even courting me. I felt alone in that sense. But then once I realized like, oh, I have these people that are outside of the comedy community that are in maybe more the YouTube community, maybe they're in the independent journalism sphere, maybe they're like influencers. Like it's just, once you look past the small comedy community,
so much more.
You can find connections with people. And these are the people that I've done interviews with, that I have developed relationships with, that can help me possibly get to the next level, whatever. To me, it's like, okay, good. These are my connections and friends, and the people I've met in this journey are that stronger bonds than anything I had in like 10 years of comedy, 5 years of improv. And I think like that's what I see happening for you too. And it's freeing, and you'll ultimately meet better people, and you'll kind of like, it does feel real. And look at what happened with Tim Dillon. I don't think he was particularly kissing anybody's ass in the industry, but he just did his own thing as hard as he could, and he kind of leapfrogged and found success. So I feel like Tim's
a great inspiration. A lot of those guys are, and you go, they didn't go to the cellar, they didn't get in here, they didn't get in there. Not that I would turn any of that down, but like, there's so many other ways to do it. And all those people that you started connecting with, I'm sure are making livings and like have, families and careers and know themselves. So those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Yeah.
So it's like, it's a process, but you're just, I don't know, it feels like chains breaking off of you.
It is. Yeah. It's definitely, it's not like, it's definitely confusing and weird, but ultimately you go, well, what am I leaving behind? There's nothing meaningful has come of this. So you know, and then the things, the Wizard of Oz type of Disneyland dreams, those are all actually crumbling in front of our eyes. So
Yes. Yeah.
It's not
And you're
much
like,
to
do I
lose.
want? And you're like, the more you learn about Hollywood, it's like, do I want to be part of that? That doesn't seem to be the future for someone with my views. So yeah, everything really
Sure.
is changing, and I think just like prioritizing truth and like humor, I think that sounds like a good plan for me. And I
and
feel
like
like
being fearless in what you're gonna talk about or joke about. It's like we're just throwing caution to the wind. You can't predict how anything's gonna land. So like making an actual decision, like I'm not gonna censor myself, is like I'm not allowed to edit my podcast. That was a rule. I said if I do it, I'm not allowed to edit it. So I can't take anything out. So whatever I say stays and it goes out. And that's been helpful.
I had the same rule, but because I just didn't know how to edit my podcast, I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I'm just gonna let it ride as is. Yeah. Whew. It's interesting. Yeah. And if you had told me at the beginning of my like comedy career, like that I'd be like, oh, that's career suicide. You're never going to make it. And you're like, guess what? And I just feel like whatever God's plan for me, like not to get religious and weird, was like not to make it in this traditional way. Like the plan for me was to go rogue,
I'm starting to feel the same way. So many people told me what my career would be. So you start to identify with what, you can't break away with what other people think of you. That's part of your identity. But yeah, recently I go, wow, I can't believe that wasn't part of the plan,
Yeah.
But isn't that what we do? We do that's what comedy is. You're breaking the taboo. You're breaking the norm. So maybe that's
look at Lenny Bruce. Like he was getting thrown in jail like every other night just for doing regular sets. So
we got to remember. I try to remember that too. I go, yeah, it wasn't always like easy to just hop on the stage and like do your thing.
Yeah.
It's
and I think like
really.
You're so talented, Tyler. I really hope that that your lowest points are behind you. And I think like kind of breaking away from like whatever it is, feeling enslaved by like the typical like comedy path, I feel like you're finding a new way because you're so brilliant. And I feel like to live the other way would mean that you're being kept small, that you're stifling yourself.
Oh my God. I was so scared every night to like be like, oh, am I even going to like say the word gay? Like, and
you had the most like
my dad,
woke upbringing. You like raised by gays, whatever. And I feel like we have so much in common because I spent 6 years doing a show at the Stonewall Inn. I had so many people kissing my ass to get on that show. And then as soon as I leave that and do Compound Media, now I'm an alt-right extremist. So it's like, oh, really? I thought I was the same person. So it's people turn on you like that. And then you learn like all you have is yourself. And then the connections that you consciously want to create with people who are going to lift you up.
Yes, and frankly, you're doing so good. Chrissie, I just want to say you're doing. It's like, no, excuse me. There's so many people love you. Even the gays love you, and even the polyamorous people. They're going crazy for you, and the gender fluid, and even the drag kings, and the non-binaries for Chrissie. They're so strong. They're coming out strong in big numbers. So many numbers. We can't even. There's like millions, frankly. Millions watching right now. We don't have the numbers yet, but it's going to be tremendous.
I know there's only 88 people watching, but there's got to be more. They're suppressing the numbers.
I always like to say, I was like, I don't know how many people here. There's like
less than 1 million people here. They're telling us. There's less than 1 million.
Just under. Oh my God, Tyler, you're so fucking funny. I adore you. We're gonna be friends now. You're joining the team.
I mean, come on, man. Is your Build Back Better?
Come on, man. Let's build back better. Where can tell us about your podcast? Where can people? What's it called? Where can people find it? Where can people follow you?
Yeah, it's called the Tyler Fischer Show. It's on YouTube. You can listen to it or watch it on YouTube. My YouTube page is where everything lives. Patreon is Tyler Talks, it's called. And you get like a monthly private show, all sorts of stuff. And then social media is Ty the Fish, Fisch, and that's all handles,
including TikTok, even the China app, TikTok.
The China own. I got off TikTok as soon as Trump was China, TikTok is bad. I was like, I got off it, but now I want to get back on it again because
I know I did too. I stopped using it, and then like one of my videos got like 5 million views, and I was like, oh god,
wow, yeah, you need to be on it. You were like born for that because you have to put those short like impression clips. Those will blow up on there clearly. Yeah. I want to join TikTok because there's this guy on there. I forget his name, but he was like this fat kid and he just had this one other friend and he's like, I'm looking to expand my friend group. And I was like, I fucking love this guy. I gotta like meet him and like join his friend group. He's like, maybe he's kind of a loser, whatever. But I just think this guy went viral. He's like, it's just so funny saying that we're looking to expand your friend group, like you're a company. And
I'm kind of doing that too. I think maybe I should put feelers out for I need friends. It's like, oh my god, I lost like a group of friends recently because of the vaccine stuff. I had a group of dog friends, and we would meet in like every day. And they came up. They're like, just do the right thing. Just get it. Do the right thing. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
I'm out of here.
They don't know you. I mean, like, I could talk so much about this, but it would only get banned. But you stay strong. You're doing the right thing. And don't worry, Tyler, because we're friends and you're an extremist now. And you're going to make so many nice new extremist friends.
There's so many names for it. Chrissy. There's like lots of names we could call it. Extreme, we could call it homophobic, we can call it racist, but there's lots of names.
You're a free thinker. You're great. You're great, Tyler.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Thanks
I hope
for
we
doing
can do a
pod.
show together someday.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. You're great. Stay, keep doing what you're doing.
Stay strong.
Stay strong. Fuck the haters. Fuck them.
Good luck with your tell your mom, your boyfriend's mom's dog.
Yes, that I've now. I'm like, he's not actually my dog. I'm really embarrassed.
It's like, oh, that's changed a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice job with you. I was so happy to see it. One day I just saw it. I was like, whoa, you just kind of blew up, and I was like, she's doing something right. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah, it's fucking the haters. That's what I'm doing. Woo! Love you, Tyler. This was great.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Stay strong. China.
Keep doing what you're doing. Bye.
Bye.